This is Rob Liefeld. Kai Review is going down.
Hey guys, just finished watching Legion, Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 20. So this was an interesting episode to start off the season with. I guess I kind of find this episode a little bit boring because there's not too much that happens. We do get introduced right away to a brand new character and time travel and stuff, so that's going to be interesting going on. But just on the scale and things of Legion, it just really is a bit of a slower episode. Obviously, they're not trying to be, hugely action-oriented as much as I would have liked to have been for this episode. But at the same time, it's, I guess it's because that's like you're Season 3, you're either here, you're going to watch it no matter what we do, or you've already left because you're confused. You already left a long time ago. So at this point, you're going to watch it. You're not going to just watch Season 3 and first episode of Season 3 and be like, oh no, I'm not going to finish it when there's only this season left, right? Especially knowing that there's only going to be, this is the last season, right? So I think that's going to be interesting to see as to how that kind of plays out with the show. Do they kind of play it as if, they know they got you, they don't really need to kind of, you know what I mean? They get to do what they want to do, not worry about keeping your attention because the way they have it. But we'll have to wait and see as to where things go. And this show has a bit of a kind of ups and downs with all these episodes, but in general, these seasons have been very, very good, and I really like this show. So this episode, again, like I said, I would like to see a little bit more action, but it's definitely interesting to see as to where things set up for the future. So we start off, we find out that we see Switch, we meet this character. She ends up finding David, or David kind of is sending trying to attract her to him type thing, since he needs a time traveler to go back in time, but we don't really know what he wants to do with that and how he wants to do with that, so that's kind of interesting. And we see that Division 3 shows up. David ends up killing Carrie, the girl, Carrie with a K, and then we see Sid shows up and kills David, and then the time traveler Switch goes back in time, and we repeat that twice, and then just before the third time, we see that Farouk ends up stopping Switch in like the astral plane in between, not necessarily in between, because she has this kind of place where it's like in between that she's able to go, if she picks a door, if she wants to go back an hour or 2 hours and stuff. I really like that kind of representation of in between time, I guess. And I guess Farouk is able to somewhat deal with that, or at least Farouk is able to kind of, he was able to kind of stop her, pause her in between. So I guess he paused her either in that room or kind of just in between time in that room. It's kind of confusing, but it's kind of interesting kind of dealing with that and seeing as to how much David Heller and Farouk can also go back in time. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he was able to go back in time in future. I guess I'm kind of forgetting as to how he was able to kind of talk to future Sid, who had a missing arm. I don't really remember that. I did watch a lot of the recaps and stuff. I needed a lot of those before watching this episode, and a lot of them were actually done by FX on their YouTube channel, and I'm kind of glad that they did that. They kind of recapped a recap for Lenny, a recap for Sid, a recap for the whole show-ish. But I think it was kind of interesting just kind of dealing with that. They touched upon the basics that you need to see, but it doesn't really remind me the whole idea, the stuff that you already know. I guess I would have needed a little bit more of a recap to just exactly, or at least I should have watched it beforehand, but just to kind of know how exactly did Sid, was David able to talk to future Sid, who's missing an arm and all that stuff. We'll have to wait and see as to where things go and how things kind of go with that. But it is definitely going to be an interesting season, especially as to how things kind of end with the house kind of disappearing and Division 3 kind of just as they were about to close in on them. So I think that's going to be interesting. At first I thought we were going to be going into this season following it from Division 3 and all his old friends, their perspective. But then it looks like for the trailer we'll be definitely bouncing around from each other's perspective. But I don't know, maybe it's because this is the third season and stuff, but this episode felt very linear, very easy to follow compared to every other episode of this show. So I'm wondering if they're just going that route this season, going a lot more linear and easier to follow, or are they going to mix things up a little bit later on. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go. I just would have liked to see a little bit more an action set episode. But then again, it's the last thing. They don't want to blow their load too early, right? So I think to kind of save it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see as to where things go with that. It's going to be cool to see as to whenever we do get to see, David see his father, Charles Xavier. That'll be quite cool to see whenever that goes. But let's see here. I'm not sure how many episodes we should be having this season. Assume around 10. We usually get around 10. 8 episodes this 8 episodes this season, which says it should be up to episode, that'll be 27, chapter 27, will be 27 chapters throughout this run. So only 8 episodes. That'll be interesting to see as to where things go with this. Definitely I like this character, and definitely can't wait to see as to where things go. I really like this show. I think comparing it to something like Swamp Thing right now, which is very, very good. And I think it's really interesting that they can't compare the two since the two are very different. But we'll have to wait and see as to kind of where things go with this. I'd like to see a little bit more as to how things kind of go for this season and how the interaction is going to be when we eventually get David Hiller meeting his father, Charles Xavier. So let me know what you think, guys, about this first episode. Did you like it? Did you feel kind of meh about it like I did? It's a very forgetful episode. But, I think it's really, I'm excited to see where things go, but I'm excited from what left over last season. I'm not excited from nothing in this episode really got me excited for this season. And I feel like that's what they need to do. But it's a show that doesn't really do that. They might do that in the next episode. They really just kind of do their own thing. They don't care about, keeping your attention. They just want to tell their story how they want to tell it. And I think that's going to be interesting to see as to where things go in the next episode. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 3, Episode 1 of Legion, Chapter 20. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
We're here for Kyle Reviewed on YouTube, the very best Kyle Reviewed channel on all the YouTube Kyle Reviewed channels. You got that? You got that right? Thank you for watching Kyle Reviewed. Deadpool and I thought it was fantastic. You need to like, you need to subscribe. You know how it's done. Like, subscribe. Right, DP? All right, Kyle Reviewed. Cool channel.